Now focus on the state of our grid. We're currently in stage 4 load shedding, and today the Electricity Minister Hosiyenso Ramakgopa returned to the Kusile power station in eMalahleni. Let's bring in our reporter Heidi Giokos, who has the very latest. Hello Heidi. So stage 4 last week was pretty tough. What was the Electricity Minister's purpose for the visit today?
So for context purposes, Sally, we do know that the flue duct was severely damaged last year, which basically meant that a number of units at Kusile power station were not in use. You couldn't use them because basically the one chimney was unusable, and we do know that it would probably take about 2 years or so for the actual chimney to be sorted out. We have been told, we were told back then that they were going to bypass that chimney and build different kinds of structures so that they can get the units up and running. We have been told that Kusile, it being one of the newest power stations, but the most problematic because it has some serious structural issues. It's been the most expensive. It's taken the longest to actually kick off and be used to full capacity. It is now being seen as a power station that could possibly end load shedding or severe stages of load shedding. And as much as the minister said this yesterday in his energy action plan briefing, he reiterated this point today because we do know that about 3 units at Kusile power station are expected to go online by December, a month earlier than expected. The one is in October, one in November, and another one in December. And we do know that about 1,000 megawatts of electricity is about one stage of load shedding. So they are expecting load shedding to be reduced significantly once Kusile is able to be up and running. But the tragedy, I would say, in all of this is that it's already cost 250 million rand to bypass the system, to bypass the actual chimney duct and build new structures. It's a huge construction site at Kusile power station, but it's costing 250 million rand now. The price is expected, the cost is expected to increase because they are not nearly done, and they are expecting the price to increase. I want us to listen to some of what came out today when we asked around the price of all of this.
I think the cost, obviously the work has not been finalized because the temporary stake is also part of the bigger project as well. So once we have all done with that, then we can because it is, the good thing is that it's a remeasurable cost. Once the job is complete, we've agreed, signed off and all of that. So once the whole job is done, then we will have then the full picture.
So you're saying it's 250 million so far, and then how much extra to get it to a point that it's going to be working properly by the end of the year?
So we've been told that they cannot give us a figure at this particular point, Sally, because they need to first finalize the project and then they'll be able to give us an estimate. But the fact that it's already costing 250 million rand goes to show that it's obviously going to increase substantially. And I think it's alarming that the flue duct was damaged in the first place. I mean, there have been allegations of the fact that the team on the ground at Kusile power station did not really know how to use this power station, and it was basically a ticking time bomb. And the fact that it's only going to take another year or so in its entirety, about 2 years, to actually fix the actual chimney. We were told on the previous visit about 2-3 months ago that they hadn't even accessed the chimney yet to ascertain the damage. So you can only imagine what's going on.
So this workaround is going to be up and ready sort of November, December. But as you say, the actual proper fix is going to take another year and probably a lot more money on top of that. But Heidi, that's not the only problems facing Kusile, because there's also corruption and theft. Just give me the latest on what's been uncovered there.
Yes, so we do know that last week 9 people were arrested at Kusile power station for coal theft and fraud, and we do know that Weighbridge manager was also among those arrested. So it was definitely work that it was an inside job, basically. I think this is alarming given the fact, Sally, that we do know that the SANDF were deployed to a number of power stations, including Kusile power station. And today we saw the SANDF there walking around the power station. And the question that I posed to the minister was, do you think that you are tackling the issue of coal theft, fraud, sabotage, whatever it might be that's actually playing out at our power stations? And he did indicate that intelligence is really trying to work through these power stations, but you can only imagine what is actually going on and the extent that's going on, because if you have 9 people arrested just last week after the SANDF were deployed there, and I think they've been deployed there for a number of months already. If that didn't deter those that were involved in this alleged coal theft and fraud, what is actually going to deter them at this particular point? So it does seem as though the minister understands the severity of this, but to be quite honest, Sally, it's not good enough, because that is certainly contributing to the mess that we are seeing at power stations. How do you have 9 people involved in coal theft and fraud at Kusile Power Station, which is one of our newest, which has the SANDF there? But the minister says that it's also up to the ESCOM management to control this, to control what's going on.
Very difficult to get to the heart of it, because it's people who are really right in the literal nuts and bolts that sometimes are those who are corrupt. But Heidi, we know there's a cold front coming. Last week we hit stage 6 load shedding. We're currently on stage 4 power cuts, and we know that there's probably a risk of things getting worse this week. Was the minister able to give you any clarity on what's he expecting in the near term in terms of stages of power cuts?
So we have been told that, for example, this week we'll have stages 3 and 4 load shedding. If all goes according to plan, we do know that these generating units are unreliable. The reason why we also saw stage 6 is because we do know that ESCOM is on an aggressive maintenance program. So they need to maintain their units. Maintenance has not been done, and the minister was rather frank, Sally. He basically said that if we don't do maintenance, we can reduce the levels of load shedding, but this is going to backfire and it's going to catch up with us in the next 2 to 3 months. And that's why you had President Cyril Ramaphosa saying things like, you know, pay now but gain later. And as difficult as it is, and quite frankly, South Africans don't deserve this, because we pay for our electricity, we pay for the service, yet we are being subjected to load shedding. But the minister says they have to make sure that they maintain the units. The next week or so, we've been told stage 3, stage 4. Hopefully by October, when one of the units come up at Kusile Power Station, it will be reduced again to possibly a lower level. November, December, that's why I was saying by December we'll see lower stages of load shedding. But today we thought it was going to be stage 3, and then we heard that generating units at Kusile Power Station, you know, there were issues there, and that's why we've moved back to stage 4.
Yeah, so that uncertainty within the system continues. Heidi Giokos, thank you so much for bringing us up to speed on the latest on our electricity grid.